Hello. I'd like to take you on a brief walk through the admin side of our client management system. Here again, I have a button on our website called Member Access that takes me to the admin.clients.care. And we could also direct directly to this if we wanted to. Or anyone is welcome to put a button on their website that takes them directly here. It's just a little bit easier. I set up a new office under here that I appropriately named New Office. And so I can sign into the new office. Welcomed with a nice Dr. Seuss quote today. And if you remember from the client side, assuming you've seen that, if not, hopefully you'll have a chance to see that too. I had a client set up as Mark Test 2, which is me, and I had taken a full survey and then was partway through a second survey as I showed that. So I'll go into my client folders here, and I'll come back and touch on what these other folders are. But right now let's look at assessments, because that ties directly to the client side. Here are the two assessments that I've taken, the two intake surveys, the one completed and the one that's not quite completed yet. As I come here to look at the report on that intake survey, what I'm met with first is the Magnificent 7 focus areas. And this is an interesting part. Maybe you've picked up part of it from our website or from dealing with us in the past. We have broken the brain down into 7 major areas that we like to address. You'll see here the prefrontal cortex, the temporal lobes, the parietal lobes, occipital lobe, basal ganglia, cingulate system, and deep limbic system. So first I'm met with how much the survey has pointed out issues in those 7 areas and weighted them against each other. And this is probably a function of me taking the intake survey completely randomly and starting with a lot of zeros and ones, and as I progressed through, I probably got more and more of an issue. Typically, I won't see them exactly, line up like that. And then secondly, we'll take the 7 top areas of complaint, the sub areas to those Magnificent 7 areas, if you will. You'll see the auditory sequential memory is up here at a value of 89. This is out of 100, and down to depression with a value of 33. As we then scroll down through the report, we can see how we fared in each one of those sub areas within the Magnificent 7. Auditory sequential memory, remember, was at 89. As I was taking the survey, I must have really felt I had some issues there. And we'll remember that sleep restoration was 47. So it's gone through and it's pulled out the top 7 issues here and said these are the main areas of complaint, if you will. Also, what I've got here is if we want a little more information on those areas. So I want to look in and see, well, how did he answer all of the questions that are within the auditory sequential memory area. And so I can say, and these are rated, from highest complaint, if you will, down to lowest. And so when we're building a remediation plan for this person, we can really know that although I've got auditory sequential memory issues, I don't seem to have much difficulty with music skills, in comparison to everything else. So it just lets us drill down a little deeper on what drove this ranking. Okay? And then if we go back, we're back to the report. Of course, it can print out. And we'll go back to our intake survey. What I'm given here are the recommendations, the activity recommendations. This is exactly like what is shown to the client. Of course, it doesn't have the instructions at the top, the little note to say how to do it, because this is just for our benefit since it's directly available to the client now. Here again, the 7 major areas and what we're asking them to do. Okay. Within, let me go one more thing here. I can tell here that that one's not complete. It changes color when it's complete. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the recommendations given to the client are always on the most recent survey taken. So as they progress, as we give additional surveys in the interim or near completion, if we've given it as a post, their suggested activities will change with how they are at that point in time. I've also got the ability to take session notes. Of course, there's none here, so let me show you one. This is a very simplistic session note, which is just basically, I can give it a name and I can say what we did this day. So I can keep an ongoing tally of what's going on in that. I've got a more complex contact log here that some people are using for more in-depth contact because they like to keep track of whether it's direct or indirect. You know, an indirect type might be text, phone, email, okay? And a direct would be, of course, in person. Has the ability to keep track of your hours for that time, how they appeared, what we did in today's session, and then what follow-up was required. Okay? And if these were completed, they then would show in this log of data here, so we could always go back and review them or print them. We try to keep as much electronically as we can now, but it surely isn't a paperless society yet. And then client files, here again, this one will be empty, but I have the ability to basically load up anything I want into this. And that file can be a PDF file. It can be a scanned assessment from the school. It can be Excel files that I've done other work with for this client. It can be Word documents. It can be anything I want that will then show up in this folder. Of course, here it's empty for now because this is a brand new person. But very, very handy to keep all of the electronic data for a client together. Let me drop down here to resources because this is a really powerful part of the site also. In these resources, and I'll just do all resources, but you can see that you can sort just through audios, documents, presentations, support protocols, and videos. If we go to all resources, you'll see that we have some audios in here. The children's relaxation, the 8 hours of sleep, kind of autogenics relaxation that we use in the office, and the adult relaxation. In the document list, everything from the ACE trauma survey to a paper on addiction research that we've handed out to addiction centers, auditory sequential memory activities. It will just go through basically everything. And you'll see many of these support protocols are in here too. The great part about this is, say I have someone with a sleep disorder. I can search for sleep here, and I can get an audio that pertains to that, 8 hours of sleep. I can get a marketing rack card. You're probably familiar with those, but to sit in a rack. A sleep hygiene document that we give our sleep people. There's the insomnia support protocol that we looked at from the client side. That is something to hand out to them. And a masterclass that we did on sleep. This one recorded only audio, but back in September we had a masterclass online that we recorded, and we routinely will do that, and we'll just save them up here to videos. For those of you who haven't seen the client side, these support protocols there's 105 of them on here. Everything from acne to weight loss and urinary tract infection support. So what these do are PDF forms that we hand out to our clients. We'd say, oh, you're having an issue with weight loss. Here, besides what we can do in the office, now weight loss isn't something that we would probably be doing cog rehab remediation with, but all of these always go down this same path of lifestyle recommendations, dietary recommendations, and then supplement recommendations based on Designs for Health. We have a Designs for Health store on the site to help people out, or they're also welcome to, of course, go anywhere they want for those. So there you have the admin side. Easy enough to add a new account. I can add a new client here. First name, last name, birth date, special needs or not. And here I assign them a random username and password. The birth date is important because of assignment of those activities is based on age, and special needs is important if they are to dilute those activity assignments to a more special needs basis. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a quick rundown of that. Happy to talk with you more about it. Just get in touch. And my best to you all. Bye-bye.